What's up, Ohio? Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of the Broulis Beat Report. I am your host, Nick Broulis. Today is Tuesday, April 25th, 2017. I come to you from the Johnson Controls Hall of Fame Village Studios, as always. And this edition of the Broulis Beat Report is brought to you also, as always, by Cafe 80s. If you're a person that loves or likes Cafe 80s music, 80s music in general, obviously, you'll really need to check out thecafe80s.net. That's their official site. And follow them on Facebook by simply typing in The Cafe 80s. Or download that Bands in Town app on your smartphone and type in The Cafe 80s. You can follow them that way as well. And with the Bands in Town app, as I continue to always remind you, that they actually send you emails letting you know when they're going to be at a venue near you. Well, again, I have not figured out any new countdowns on my countdowns list, but guess what? The two countdowns that I do have left remaining, well, one of them's down to single digits, the other one is 2 days away from being down into the single digits. The 2017 NFL Draft is just about here. Thank God. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of seeing all these mock drafts come out and all these experts and all these rumors, going around and whatnot about who might be doing what and this and that. I'm going to be so glad when this draft is over with, just from the standpoint of I'm tired of hearing all this stuff and I want to see who's going where. So, with that being said, the draft is just 2 days away, coming to you live Thursday night from Philadelphia, the first ever all-outdoor draft in NFL history. So it should be an interesting one at that. And, of course, the Cleveland Browns hold the number 1 overall pick. Curious to see what they do with that one because, evidently, as of today, Myles Garrett is not set in stone as the number 1 overall pick. Now, moving on to the other countdown, for all you thrill seekers out there, especially, of course, this guy, Cedar Point opens up in 11 days in Sandusky, Ohio. I am extremely looking forward to my first trip. Haven't figured out when it's going to be, but it is going to happen at some point. Now, for those of you that are on Twitter, or if you haven't had a chance to make a Twitter account, or if you don't have one just in general, you should get one if you want to follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @NBroulis. That's N as in Nancy, B as in boy, ROULIS to follow me on Twitter. Well, I was going to start out with the Cavs, but I actually want to start out with the draft. Okay, so yesterday or the day before, one of those two, I am listening to a certain station, and I heard an NFL expert that was a host on that station. It was kind of one of those, hotlines where they call up a guy and, he's an expert and so on and so forth. And pretty much what he says is, not even the Browns can mess up this draft. Well, I don't know what you've been watching for the last 17 seasons, but apparently not enough of the Browns. Because, unfortunately, not only do they know how to mess up a draft, but if there's a way to lose a football game, if it hasn't been discovered yet, and I was just telling some coworkers about this today, they have already figured it out, or they will figure it out. As much as it pains me to say that, it's the truth. They have figured out ways, excluding 2 seasons, since they've returned in 99, they have figured out ways to lose a game. And they have figured out ways to mess up a draft. And I'm telling you this right now. If the Browns screw up on this draft especially, they will be set back more than 3 years from now. And then guess what happens? Obviously that means there's going to be more changes at the head coaching position and in the front office. That's the last thing we need. So, can the Browns please just not make rocket science out of this draft and just please take the best player available and stop trying to get cute and fancy with all these quarterbacks and just take the best player available. Now, in case you haven't heard by now, Adrian Peterson signed a 2-year deal with the New Orleans Saints, worth $7 million. There are incentives, obviously, and there is a team option for that second year, so it's kind of like a 1-year deal, but if he proves that he still has enough left in the tank, they can pick up his option for next year. So it's going to be curious to see how Adrian Peterson fits down in New Orleans, considering he won't be the featured back anymore, as they have Mark Ingram down there with the Saints. So that's with the draft talk. Now, let's talk about some more positive news, especially if you're a Cavs fan. I, for one, before the playoffs started, said regardless of whoever the Cavaliers play in the first round, they will not sweep them. Well, they proved me wrong, obviously, and they swept the Pacers, and now they await the winner of the Toronto-Milwaukee series, which, let's see here, Milwaukee is now trailing that series 3-2 after Toronto just tore them up the other night. So that series is at 3-2. But I will let all of you know this, just in case you don't already know. The first game of the semifinal round, the second round, will start on Monday regardless of how long the Toronto-Milwaukee series goes. Now let's talk about some other playoff series in the NBA. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, okay, of course. Chicago and Boston. That series is tied at 2 games apiece. And the 4-5 matchup with Washington and Atlanta, that series is tied at 2 games apiece. Here's my thing with the Chicago-Boston series. If Rondo can come back, I think Chicago has got a good chance of winning that series. You notice ever since he got injured that Chicago has had their problems offensively. If he can come back, which I don't think he is going to come back in time, I think Chicago can still take that series. But right now, I'm leaning more towards Boston now. Washington, Atlanta, I still expect Washington to win that series. Out west, the Golden State Warriors did what they were expected to do, and they swept the Portland Trail Blazers. In the 4-5 matchup with the Clippers and the Jazz, that series is now tied at 2 games apiece. And Houston leads their series with Oklahoma City 3-1. And I'm a bit shocked here. Admittedly, I'm a bit shocked. San Antonio and Memphis, well, their series is tied up at 2 games apiece now as well. So right now, the only 2 teams that have advanced to the second round are the 2 teams that a lot of people have anticipated to meet up in the finals for a 3rd straight year, that being Golden State and Cleveland. Now, let's switch to some baseball news, shall we? The Cleveland Indians open up a 3-game series tonight, hosting a very hot Houston Astros team from the West, AL West that is. And here are your pitching matchups for this 3-game series. Dallas Keuchel, who has a 0.96 ERA, goes up against Josh Tomlin tonight, who has an ERA of 11.68. He's been roughed up a little bit. Then your next game 2 of the 3-game series features Lance McCullers Jr., who has a 3.38 ERA, against Trevor Bauer, who has a 6.35 ERA. And then the rubber match of the 3-game series features Mike Fears with a 5.40 ERA against Corey Kluber, who has a 4.28 ERA. And then after that series, the Cleveland Indians welcome in the Seattle Mariners for a 3-game series. Now, just a little quick note, Cleveland is 2-4 at home this season. Now, before I end the show, I did want to do a quick update for you in terms of the baseball standings. So far in the early season, here in the AL, over in the East, Baltimore currently has a 2-game lead over the New York Yankees with a record of 13-5. Here in the Central, Detroit and Cleveland are actually tied with a 10-8 record for first place. And out west, as I just said, Houston, who's really hot right now, 13-6 first place lead over the Oakland Athletics. Now over in the National League, in the East, Washington is in first place with a 13-6 record, followed by the Cubs, who hold down a 11-8 record to hold down first place in the Central. And then out west, Colorado is at 14-6 in first place with a 1.5 game lead over Arizona. Now, I just got this notification on my phone. A group led by Derek Jeter and Jed Bush won an auction and now own the Miami Marlins. So, in case you haven't found out about that, I just got that notification on my phone just before I came on air here with you on the Broulis Beat Report. Well, I don't have a whole lot in terms of the new and latest articles on fandom.com, but stay tuned to future Broulis Beat Report podcasts because I am currently actually considering opening up another website just for myself. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Hopefully I'll be able to get to do it here in the near future, so stay tuned to that. Well, I certainly hope everybody had a great weekend and enjoyed some sports action, or if you had time to get out with family and friends, hope you're able to do that as well. I do hope everybody has a great rest of their week, and hopefully your team in the NFL draft takes somebody that you actually think is going to make an impact on your team. Well, that does it for this edition of the Broulis Beat Report. My name is Nick Broulis, and I will see you the next time you see me. Have a great week, everybody.